Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the March 18th, 2008 Board of Selectmen Sewer Commissioners meeting. Before we begin this evening, it's nice to see what a little controversy will do to bring people out. And just to set the record straight right now, that there will be no outbursts this evening. Last week, just to set the record straight, I was the one who called the police because the audience would not leave. And if I have to do it again, it was not because the town administrator and the selectmen were going at it. It wasn't because I felt physically threatened by the town administrator, which are some of the rumors that have been out there. I believe that it was a tempest in a teapot, as was cited at on the news last week, but it will not be tolerated. Okay, thank you very much. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Madam Chairman, 4 selectmen are present. Selectman Donahue is absent. We also have the town administrator and John Sanjanet.
Thank you. Okay, before we begin this evening, is there anyone that wanted to address the board under citizen participation? Sure, do you want to come right up here and have a seat? Good evening.
Hi, how are you?
Fine.
Do I state my name?
Please.
My name is Larry McDonald. This will be quick and I'll try to keep it short. At a November meeting, there were pictures presented of school-age children, those highly identifiable school-age children, to the board and to the public, and they were entered into record. Those pictures were taken by people, and they were presented by the same people who had no connection to those children under the guise of safety. They did not consult with the parents before presenting those pictures, nor did they ask our permission. And I kind of find it a little strange that no one on the board asked them that question as well. At later meetings, it was determined the issue that they were presented for had nothing to do with safety, and it was an issue of licenses and permits, which makes those pictures basically invalid. As parents, we hope the town and the people making decisions for the town exercise reasonable care when protecting the town assets. Our children are perhaps the greatest asset we have in this town. And I realize you guys have a difficult job, and I certainly don't want to make it any more difficult, but considering that this matter could not be handled privately through calls, letters, and conversations, I'm here today to request that those pictures are removed from the record and stricken completely from the record. And I guess the people taking those pictures, I don't know if they have anything to say about it, but I want them removed from the records.
The pictures, I believe that Mr. McAuliffe had spoken to, I think it was your wife, maybe?
That's correct. He's
Okay.
spoken to me as well.
And the issue with those is that they were part of the public record. They are, I mean, I looked at the pictures. I have children, believe me, I can
Okay.
empathize with you. I looked at the pictures. I could not identify male, female, of the children. The faces of the children I could not identify on it. What I believe Mr. McAuliffe said and what we said, that they are part of the public record. Anyone who wishes to see them or to get a copy of them, they have to file a public records request and have to have a reason for it, or we have to be notified of it. But we don't just give those out to anyone. They are part of that record. The issue was the road safety and the traveling on the road. And if I remember correctly, it was the bus was parked, picking up children, and trucks and cars or something were going by it.
Right, that's correct.
And I believe that they are secure.
That's correct, Madam Chairman. Excuse me. We also took the added steps of making sure that they could not be released with a regular public records
That's right.
request. So those pictures have been put away. We didn't solicit those pictures. I want to be clear about that. They were presented to us as part of an exhibit. I think we accepted about 12 exhibits. That was one exhibit. It was part of a notebook, and it was showing truck traffic and children on the side of the road.
But
So
don't you
I think we understand your point. We were the recipient of the pictures. We didn't produce the pictures until the matter is resolved. I think I'm clear on saying this. I think there's been litigation threatened on both sides of this issue, so it's something that really needs to be put aside because we don't know if it's going to be part of a discovery request someday that the town will receive it, it wouldn't be unlikely. So we're not disseminating the pictures. They're in a notebook. They're in a box. I agree, just so there's no uncertainty here. I don't think you could pick out whether it's a boy or girl, or it's not like it's a close-up shot. It's probably 150 yards away. But again, it was part of, well, maybe 75 yards away.
They
but
were right across the
It was part of an exhibit that we accepted. It's not something that we solicited, and they're sitting in a box.
So, John, Madam Chair, John, can we just segregate those pictures, keep them in the record, because I understand if they're part of an official record and there's potential litigation, then we can't tamper with the record, but is there any way we can just isolate those and not distribute those pictures?
Yes, there is, and we've taken that step. They're actually not part of the standing file, so if someone was to come in and ask for a public records request, you wouldn't receive copies of the photographs.
I guess my point is, during this whole conversation, one of the things I brought up is no one bothered to even ask the people. No, the people didn't ask us whether they could present pictures of our children, first off. Number one is nobody on the board said, hey, wait a minute, are you related to any of these children? Have you talked to the parents? No one ever said that to the people presenting the pictures. So I'm not saying that, you solicited the pictures. What I'm saying is because it was determined that the issue at hand was about permits and licenses, had nothing to do with safety, and I believe there was a ruling that this board couldn't rule on, use safety as a ruling for that issue, then that makes those pictures which were presented void. They have no bearing in the case whatsoever.
But I think that if, as Mr. McAuliffe said, that if there is any litigation on this,
Well, I think everybody's trying to avoid that, is what I'm saying.
right, but if there is any litigation on that regarding that permit, on either side, that it's not up for us to tell the courts what is or isn't relevant. And although, according to past court decisions, there was a certain criteria of what was relevant, that when these go to court, the judge may say, well, I've decided this is an overturn of previous decision. So I like I said, I empathize with you, but they are in a safe place. I believe that you're the only one that has them in your office or in the big door there.
I know that they're
Yeah.
not in the part of the file that people would access, and I know I have a set. I can't say it's the only set, because I think several notebooks were handed out
Right.
that night, but we took one as a formal
Right.
exhibit.
Well, I think we can make a distinction between public records and public release.
Okay.
And if the obvious concern is distributing pictures that might be used inappropriately, then obviously
Exactly.
releases the issue. And I think we can probably assure you that they will not be released, but they must be part of the record.
I understand that. I want to say, even though you may not be able to see their faces, you can see that they are little children. You can also see the bus number, and you can also highly identify the area that bus is in. So if anybody who had ill intentions got a hold of those pictures, they could, that right there in itself, you see what I'm saying? It's not that you can identify each child and say, well, that's so-and-so. It's the fact that everything around it is highly identifiable. It is.
And
The bus number-
and you know what, and perhaps you're right, but I also know
He's
that
right.
every, August, the newspaper puts in the bus numbers, the bus routes, the bus stops.
Right.
So it's the same thing, as far as being identifiable, if there was someone that had ill intentions, they pretty much know that at any bus stop, they're gonna find children.
Well, but, and you're absolutely right, but if he's concerned about, safety issues with respect to children, I think we gotta do everything we can to make sure that not only a parent, but the public understands the sensitivity of the issue, and
Right.
that we'll do what we have to do to
Protect them.
protect our own, so.
That's our concern, and once whatever litigation, if that can be resolved, those, at that point in time, perhaps we
Give
can
them to you.
remove
We
those.
can get-
Thank you
return
very
We can
much.
give them to you. Thank you. Have a
Thank you
good
very
evening.
much. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that wanted to speak to the board this evening? Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Anton Campina, and I'm a resident of Wareham. And I just want to briefly comment on the last week's meeting. I thought it was